The bright lights of a sporting arena often serve as a fascinating backdrop for unexpected human drama, where the paths of Hollywood royalty, global sports icons, and actual nobility cross in ways no scriptwriter could easily predict. On an ordinary Saturday evening, thousands of passionate basketball fans filed into a packed arena in Texas, their eyes fixed on the unfolding championship spectacle on the court, completely unaware that a quiet story of contrast and celebrity was taking place right in their midst. In the modern world of digital media and instant communication, we often look to these massive public gatherings to catch a glimpse of the personalities who shape our global culture, watching how they move through public spaces when they think the cameras are focused elsewhere. If you enjoy diving deep into these unexpected moments where celebrity culture, high society, and real-world history overlap, please consider taking a brief second to subscribe to our channel right now so you never miss another detailed update. The atmosphere inside the venue was absolutely electric, charged with the unique pressure that only a critical postseason matchup can generate, drawing people from all walks of life into a singular, shared experience under the rafters. For a few hours, the usual boundaries that separate different spheres of influence seemed to blur, creating a unique environment where a person might look to their left and see a movie star, and look to their right to find someone connected to ancient European lineages. It is this specific blend of high stakes and casual public interaction that makes these major American sporting events a magnet for individuals who spend most of their lives behind heavy security gates or under the intense scrutiny of the international press. As the crowd roared and the game progressed through its opening minutes, observers began to notice that the front rows were a literal catalog of modern popular culture, filled with faces recognizable to millions across the globe. Yet, as the cameras panned across the standard seating areas slightly removed from the immediate edge of the court, they captured someone whose presence immediately shifted the narrative of the entire evening. This individual was dressed with an intentional, quiet simplicity that seemed almost designed to blend into the sea of local fans, a sharp contrast to the bold fashion statements usually on display along the famous celebrity row. He wore a simple navy polo shirt paired with matching navy slacks and a dark baseball cap pulled low over his eyes, sitting comfortably several rows back from the action rather than in the traditional spotlight of the courtside seats. To the casual passerby, he could have been any other dedicated sports enthusiast enjoying a weekend trip to Texas, but to the sharp eyes of the photojournalists present, his identity was unmistakable. The unexpected appearance of the 41-year-old high society figure raised immediate questions among commentators, not just because of his choice of seating, but because of the immense geographical and cultural distance between this Texas basketball arena and his original ancestral home. While the game on the hardwood floor was a masterpiece of athletic precision and strategic maneuvering, the quiet presence of this particular guest added a completely separate layer of intrigue to the night, suggesting a deliberate choice to seek out a normal, unpretentious experience. He sat in the 8th row of the massive Frost Bank Center, watching the actions unfold alongside everyday ticket holders, seemingly content to let the brighter stars of the entertainment industry occupy the absolute front and center positions. This choice of placement within the arena immediately stood out to seasoned observers of public behavior, who are well accustomed to seeing individuals of his background demand the absolute highest level of visibility and exclusivity at any public gathering. The contrast became even more striking when contrasted with the behavior of the other household names in attendance, many of whom were prominently displayed on the venue's massive video screens throughout the night to the delight of the roaring crowd. While Hollywood actors and media moguls chatted comfortably under the bright television lights at the very edge of the court, this visitor seemed to find a sense of comfort in the relative anonymity of the middle rows, interacting quietly with his immediate companion. This strategic placement created a fascinating visual dynamic within the stadium, where the traditional hierarchy of global fame seemed to be temporarily flipped on its head for an evening of basketball. The choice to attend such a highly publicized event in such a low-key manner hint at a broader desire to navigate public life on completely new terms, far removed from the rigid protocols and expectations of the past. As the first quarter drew to a close and the noise of the arena reached a fever pitch, the realization of who was sitting in the eighth row began to spread through the sections, transforming a simple sports outing into a subject of intense international curiosity. This was not just an ordinary night out for a fan of the sport, but a highly symbolic moment occurring at a very specific time on the global calendar, making the choice of venue and company deeply significant to anyone tracking his journey. The choice of a navy polo and a baseball cap served as a visual shield, a common tactic for individuals who wish to observe a spectacle without becoming the spectacle themselves, allowing them to experience a slice of authentic American culture without the usual fanfare. As the players ran up and down the court, the true depth of the situation began to settle in for those watching the broadcast, setting the stage for a deeper look into the timing of this surprise appearance and the unique circle of people surrounding it. As the second quarter of the basketball game got underway in San Antonio, the deeper details of the evening began to paint a fascinating picture of modern celebrity hierarchy and the shifting dynamics of public life. While the 41-year-old Duke of Sussex watched the action from his seat in the eighth row, the absolute front row of the Frostbank Center was a glittering showcase of Hollywood heavyweights and cultural icons who occupied the coveted celebrity row. Sitting directly courtside, under the intense glare of the television cameras and the flashing lights of the courtside photographers, were actors Timothée Chalamet and Ben Stiller, who anchored the star-studded line of premium seats for this high-stakes game. Their presence at the very edge of the hardwood floor represented the standard operating procedure for major American sporting events, where the most recognizable names in entertainment are intentionally positioned to maximize media exposure and enhance the glamorous reputation of the league. Yet, the fact that a member of the British royal family was positioned several rows behind these entertainment figures created a striking visual narrative that immediately caught the attention of media analysts worldwide. This unique seating arrangement meant that Prince Harry was sharing his section of the stadium with other notable personalities who, for various reasons on that particular Saturday night, found themselves placed outside the immediate courtside circle. Among those seated in the rows slightly further back from the action were rising Hollywood star Sydney Sweeney, accompanied by her boyfriend, as well as high-profile music executive Scooter Braun and veteran actor Billy Baldwin. Seeing such a concentrated collection of household names relegated to the eighth row suggested that the demand for courtside positioning at this championship matchup was unprecedented, pushing even the most famous attendees into the standard seating sections. This spatial separation within the arena highlighted the unique rules of engagement that govern American sports culture, where courtside real estate is often dictated by local team connections, corporate sponsorships, and immediate promotional partnerships, rather than traditional social status. For Prince Harry, this lack of front-row placement did not appear to diminish his enjoyment of the fast-paced athletic display, as he remained focused on the game, demonstrating a casual comfort that contrasted with the high-profile media circus happening just a few yards away. However, the timing of this surprise public appearance added a massive layer of complexity and tension to the evening, transforming a simple night at a basketball game into a subject of global discussion. Just hours before the opening tip-off in Texas, across the Atlantic Ocean in London, the British royal family had gathered for their traditional annual celebration known as Trooping the Colour. This historic event, which serves as the official birthday celebration for the British monarch, is one of the most significant and highly scrutinized dates on the royal calendar, featuring a grand military parade, a spectacular flypast by the Royal Air Force, and the iconic gathering of the working royal family on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. The total absence of Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, from this major family milestone was deeply noticed by royal observers, making his casual appearance at an American basketball game just a short time later highly symbolic. The couple, who famously stepped back from their roles as working royals in 2020, have not attended this particular state celebration since 2022, signaling a continued and profound separation from the formal mechanisms of the monarchy. By choosing to spend that specific weekend thousands of miles away in Texas, dressed in casual attire and sitting among regular sports fans, Harry sent a clear visual message about his current priorities and his complete transition into an independent, American-centered lifestyle. This geographical and cultural divide was made even more distinct by the fact that he was attending the game without his wife, Meghan Markle, or their two young children, Prince Archie, who is now 7, and Princess Lilibet, who is 5. The young children have been raised almost entirely within the peaceful, private confines of the family's estate in Montecito, California, far removed from the rigid protocols, public duties, and intense media scrutiny that defined their father's childhood in the United Kingdom. Instead of navigating the intense family dynamics and historical expectations of the celebration in London, Harry chose to navigate the loud, energetic, and thoroughly contemporary environment of an NBA championship game. This choice of environment provided a stark illustration of the new life he has built since relocating to the United States, a life defined by personal choices, casual public interactions, and a deliberate focus on organizations and individuals that align with his personal values. Rather than sitting alongside high-ranking military officials or members of the European aristocracy, Harry's chosen companion for the evening was J.P. Lane, a highly decorated United States Army veteran and a Purple Heart recipient. Lane, who is an accomplished athlete and an inspiring motivational speaker, is currently preparing to compete in his very first Invictus Games next summer, making his connection to the prince both deeply personal and professional. The Invictus Games, an international sporting event founded by Prince Harry in 2014 for wounded, injured, and sick servicemen and women, has long been the absolute cornerstone of the prince's public work and personal legacy. By attending this major basketball game alongside an Invictus athlete, Harry effectively bridged his passion for sports with his ongoing dedication to supporting military veterans, grounding his public appearance in a cause that has come to define his post-royal identity. The relationship between the two men was evident in their easy camaraderie throughout the night, as they discussed the plays on the court and experienced the game not as distant VIPs, but as genuine sports enthusiasts, sharing a meaningful experience. This partnership under the arena lights served as a reminder that while Harry may have stepped away from the traditional duties of the British Crown, he has maintained a deep, unshakable commitment to the global military community, using his remaining star power to elevate individuals who have sacrificed for their countries. The sight of a British prince and an American combat veteran sitting together in the 8th row of a Texas arena created a powerful image of shared purpose, one that stood out sharply against the traditional glamour of the Hollywood celebrities occupying the front row. As the game reached its halfway point and the teams headed to the locker rooms for halftime, the conversation surrounding Harry's presence continued to intensify, with spectators and commentators alike trying to decode the broader meaning behind his casual, unannounced excursion. For an individual whose entire life has been documented by the global press, every public choice is viewed through a lens of intense analysis, and this evening in San Antonio was certainly no exception. The juxtaposition of his quiet 8th row presence with the grand, historic traditions occurring simultaneously in London offered a vivid demonstration of a man caught between two completely different worlds, firmly choosing the path of his own making. As the tension reached its peak in the final minutes of the game, the broader significance of this surprise outing came fully into focus, revealing how a single evening at a basketball game can encapsulate the complex intersecting lines of modern history, personal resilience, and global celebrity. For Prince Harry, who spent years navigating the strict hierarchies of European royalty, this immersion into the raw energy of American sports culture represents something much deeper than a casual weekend distraction. To fully understand why this moment matters, one must look at the remarkable life stories of the people involved, particularly Harry's companion for the evening, J.P. Lane. The story of this United States Army veteran is one of absolute courage and profound transformation, mirroring the very spirit that Prince Harry has sought to champion through his global work. Lane's life changed forever during his deployment to Afghanistan, when his armored vehicle struck an improvised explosive device, resulting in catastrophic injuries that led to the amputation of both his legs, along with numerous other severe physical traumas. Enduring dozens of complex surgeries and years of intense physical therapy, Lane refused to let his injuries define the parameters of his future, choosing, instead, to channel his experiences into becoming a powerful, motivational speaker and a competitive athlete. His journey eventually led him to the world of adaptive sports, where he excelled as a Purple Heart athlete, pushing his physical boundaries to the absolute limit and earning a spot to represent his country at the upcoming Invictus Games. The deep bond between Prince Harry and combat veterans like J.P. Lane is forged in a shared understanding of military service and the invisible scars that often follow those who have served on the front lines. Harry himself served in the British Armed Forces for a full decade, a formative period in his life that included 2 operational deployments to Helmand Province in Afghanistan, where he flew Apache attack helicopters and experienced the harsh realities of modern warfare firsthand. This military background remains the fundamental core of his identity, providing a common language that allows him to connect instantly and authentically with wounded warriors from across the globe, regardless of their nationality or background. When Harry founded the Invictus Games in 2014, inspired by his visit to the U.S. Warrior Games, his goal was to create an international platform that would use the transformative power of sport to aid the recovery and rehabilitation of wounded servicemen and women. Over the past 12 years, the Games have grown into a massive international movement, shining a global spotlight on the resilience of the human spirit and creating a supportive community for thousands of veterans and their families. Seen through this specific lens, Harry's decision to attend the championship game in San Antonio alongside J.P. Lane was not a random social outing, but a deliberate act of mentorship and solidarity. Highlighting an athlete who embodies the core values of the Invictus movement just months before his major international competition. This enduring commitment to the veteran community stands as a pillar of continuity in Harry's life, remaining completely unchanged despite the massive transitions he has undergone since stepping back from his official royal duties and relocating to California. The life he now shares with Meghan Markle in the peaceful coastal enclave of Montecito is a world away from the rigid protocols of his youth, focused instead on independent philanthropic endeavors, creative media production, and raising their 2 young children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. While his historical connection to the British Crown remains an undeniable aspect of his global profile, public appearances like the one in Texas demonstrate a deliberate choice to define his legacy on his own independent terms, grounded in personal passions and direct human connections rather than state ceremonies. Interestingly, this was not Harry's first experience with the fast-paced world of American professional basketball, as he and Meghan have shared a few notable date nights at NBA games over the past few years, showing a growing appreciation for the sport. Back in April of 2023, the couple made headlines when they attended a high-stakes Los Angeles Lakers playoff game against the Memphis Grizzlies, sitting in a premium box and laughing alongside thousands of cheering fans in Southern California. More recently, in February of this year, they attended a high-profile all-star game together, a memorable outing that even featured a playful and light-hearted moment on the stadium's famous kiss cam, delighting the crowd and showcasing their casual comfort in the public eye. However, by attending this particular championship game in Texas without his family and choosing a seat in the 8th row rather than a private box or a courtside spot, Harry showcased a completely different side of his personality, one that preferred to focus purely on the sporting event and the companionship of a fellow veteran. The fact that other prominent figures like Sweeney, Scooter Braun, and Billy Baldwin were also seated outside the immediate courtside row emphasizes that on this particular night, the venue was packed with an unprecedented level of global influence, creating a unique micro-community within the 8th row. As the final buzzer sounded and the stadium erupted in celebration for the victorious team, the complex narrative of the evening was complete, leaving a lasting impression on everyone who witnessed it. This surprise appearance in San Antonio serves as a vivid reminder of how the paths of history and modern culture can converge in the most unexpected places, turning a standard sports broadcast into a fascinating study of human choices. By choosing to spend that specific weekend celebrating the achievements of an American veteran rather than participating in the traditional pageantry of his homeland, Prince Harry gave the world a very clear look at where his heart and his loyalties truly lie.